much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that the majority is holding this hearing today, although I certainly wonder if they will ever learn the lessons from the devastating impact on the economy that Republican deregulation has had, including the 2008 financial crisis, the ensuing Great Recession, and the recent Silicon Valley Bank failure. But it is a little surprising that this is the hearing we're having when the only thing that I hear my Republican friends talk about outside of this room is this so-called Biden bribery investigation. But then again, perhaps I shouldn't be surprised because a hearing would require them to present credible evidence to support these debunked allegations against the president, and when all they have is specious disinformation. So let me take a minute to correct that disinformation. We've heard so much about this FD-1023 form and how it includes sensational allegations about a massive alleged bribery scheme by President Biden. So I was really eager to read that document this week. Did the majority actually find some actual evidence of wrongdoing by the president? Of course not. But it's even worse than that. This document that they will not stop talking about is shockingly just a 3-year-old, second-hand, hearsay, uncorroborated rehashing of Rudy Giuliani's bogus allegations that he got from corrupt Ukrainian officials. Now, we all know that former President Donald Trump was impeached because he tried to extort President Zelensky to announce an investigation into this Ukrainian company Burisma that would benefit Trump's political campaign. The theory goes that then Vice President urged Ukraine to fire its prosecutor general because he was investigating Burisma and the president wanted to help his son, who was on the Burisma board. You know where Rudy Giuliani got this information from? That fired prosecutor general himself, the corrupt prosecutor general. And we know with absolute certainty now that the truth is exactly the opposite. And to be very clear, then Vice President Biden executed official United States foreign policy shared by the EU and the IMF to urge Ukraine to fire the prosecutor general because he was not prosecuting corruption in Ukraine. And there was no Ukrainian investigation into Burisma. That was a British investigation which collapsed because the corrupt Ukrainian prosecutor general refused to help with it. But don't take my word for it, since what I say is not evidence, because I, like my Republican colleagues, obviously have no firsthand knowledge of what happened in Ukraine in 2016. Instead, we know this from people who do have that knowledge. Numerous State Department officials and members of the intelligence community who are the country's foremost experts on Russia and Ukraine. Like Masha Yovanovitch, a decorated Foreign Service official who was the ambassador to Ukraine from 2016 until she was unceremoniously and undeservedly fired by President Trump in the spring of 2019. And Bill Taylor, another former ambassador to Ukraine who took over for Ambassador Yovanovitch. Fiona Hill, one of the country's foremost Russia experts. And George Kent, perhaps the State Department's foremost Ukraine expert, who served as Deputy Chief of Mission to Ukraine from 2015 to 2018. He said there was a broad-based consensus that the prosecutor general never prosecuted anyone known for having committed a crime and covered up crimes that were known to have been committed. But you know who else also debunked these allegations? Mykola Zlochevsky, the head of Burisma himself, who supposedly has all these recordings. He stated in a Politico article in October 2020 that he had no business dealings or meetings with world leaders and that no one from Burisma ever had any contacts with Vice President Biden or people working for him during Hunter Biden's engagement. And you know how we also know? Because the Trump DOJ knew about these allegations, examined them, and declined to prosecute them. Because if they did prosecute them, they would have had, Bill Barr would have had to appoint a special counsel to investigate the candidate for president, Joe Biden. Chairman Comer has asked, why is this committee the only committee that's investigating him? And that's the right question. Why? Because everybody else who's looked at it has found these allegations to be completely bogus. So let's move on and do what the American people sent us here to do. I yield back.